Airtable tutorial for beginners. In this video, we're going to be talking about Airtable and how you're going to be able to use this incredible software to allow you to develop the quickest and fastest apps in the easiest and most simplest way. And you can go ahead and use this for your business as a marketing central as well as a CRM. It's good for your SEO. It creates a good marketing sprint timeline. You can use agile and epic workflows for yourself as well as different views for your boards. You can do campaigning, get in requests, get in new contacts, get in leads. It's basically all in one. And it's one of the most incredible softwares out there because it gives you everything through AI, no code required. Okay. So we're going to be going through it all in a great detail. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. So to start things out, what we're going to do is we're going to come to sign up for free. Now, once you come to sign up for free, it's going to bring you to the sign up section. Now in the sign up section, what you are going to be doing is you're going to add the necessary setting that you're going to want to go ahead with. So we have airtable.com/sign up. Here we have our work email. Okay, I'm going to add that. So here we have our work email. Click on continue. Now it asks for the full and last name. So I'm going to add that for myself as well. Okay, once we add that, we're going to click on continue. And once we click on continue, that basically takes us through the next section on onboarding. Okay, so you're simply going to have to wait for that. And once that is done loading you in, that basically sets you up with Airtable in the proper way. Okay, so once your Airtable onboarding is done, you can go ahead and verify your email as well because that doesn't take a lot of time. It takes only a few seconds. And before getting into Airtable, you will have to know that when you're going through the onboarding, you're going to make sure that you are a proper setup business because Airtable doesn't help you set up a business, but it does help you grow it. It helps you empower it. So it says, which team are you on? Okay, so you could go with any of these. And I'm going to basically go with IT and support. Okay. Once we go with IT and support, I'm going to click on continue. It says get more work done with your team. So you can basically invite team members into your workspace by sharing their emails over here, or you can copy this link and send it to them. I'm going to skip that. And it says get up and running fast. So you can use Google Sheets, Microsoft Excel, CSV, and paste table data. So I'm going to skip this as well. We're going to do this later on in the video. Click on continue. Now it says, let's start setting up your app. So I'm going to give it an app name. I'm going to call this gym tracker. Okay, that is what we're going to call it. I'm going to give it the color blue and we're going to give it an icon. Let's go ahead with this over here. So once you do that, you're going to click on next. Now choose a department. Marketing and creative, product development, project management, IT and support, UX research, or start from scratch. I'm going to go with project management right now. And once we do that, here it says choose what to include in the app. So we have OKR, which is an objective key result translation. Okay, you can track progress of your objectives. Then you have budget, where you can create budgets and track expenses. You have programs where you can review program details and status. You have projects where you can monitor project timelines and status changes. Tasks where you can assign tasks and assess project risks. So I'm going to go ahead with projects. I'm going to go ahead with tasks. Let's go ahead with risk management as well as you can go with the OKR as well. So once you do that, you're going to click on next. Now you're here where it says almost there. Want to add workflow templates to your app? You can collect status updates, send a schedule digest, and track and assign different tasks for yourself as well. I'm going to go ahead and just finish that because we're going to skip that part. I don't really need that in my Airtable. So once this is done loading in, it's going to create your application. And once it basically creates your application, this basically goes ahead and takes you to this section over here. Okay. So over here, it's going to bring you to experience all of Airtable with a 14-day trial of the team. So that's the best part about Airtable, that it gives you a proper 14-day free trial of its paid plan, just so you can experience what kind of a platform it actually is, which is pretty incredible in my opinion. Now over here, we have this app set it up, which is the gym tracker app. And now I want to assign some things in the projects. So first of all, we're going to create different projects. First of all, I'm going to add this front end. So front end is the project. Then we have backend. Okay. So I'm going to add backend as a project. And we have database. Okay. So I'm going to write database in. Okay. And then finally, you're going to add something like, let's say PHP. Okay. So these are things that are needed. These are the small projects that are needed to complete the gym tracker app. Now, first of all, we're going to give a description for each of them. So, front end has a front end description, back end for back end, data for database, and PHP for PHP. You're going to choose the start dates and end date. Okay. So I'm going to come here. You are going to make sure that the year is correct. It's 2024. And once we go with 2024, we're going to go to the month of July. And I'm going to go with the start date. And I'm going to go with the end date. I'm going to choose the month again. And we're going to go with 25th as our deadline. So once you do this, then you have statuses. Now in statuses, you can set if it has started, if it's in progress, or if it's completed. Obviously, this depends on the person who is going to be doing your project or the person who's going to be setting your store. So in this case, us, I'm going to go with in progress. And moving on, you can choose the assignee. So it's assigned to me right now. Then we have priority like high, medium, high. You can choose the tasks, results, and risks as well. So these are, different features that you can concord for yourself accordingly. Now, moving on, what you can do is you can actually add fields in this as well. So if you want to add fields for yourself, what you can do is you're going to come up over here and you can add fields in your project section. So let's say we have this project over here, right? Now, if I were to open up my projects, proper central, let's say I'm going to come here, open up my project. Now, as we open up our project, we have the front end project here, right? So here we have description. So you can add a description like create front end with Python, something like that. Then once you do that, you're going to choose start date, end date that we have, progress assigned to, and then you have tasks for it. Okay. So these are tasks that we're going to set over here, but we're not going to get into this right now. We're going to go ahead and save this to this. So once you do that, you're pretty much set to go when it comes to adding the basic category sorting tables. So once you've done that, we're going to move over to tasks. And once you move over to tasks, we are going to go ahead and add different open tasks for ourselves. So in the open tasks section, what's going to happen is you're going to go to add task and add more tasks. Okay. So click on add task. Okay. And we're going to write in a task, start Python by introducing template of front end header file or library. Okay, so we're going to write that in. You can introduce a description, choose a date again accordingly to whatever you want. And once you've done that, you're going to click on add project. And I'm going to go with the front end project in this case. So once you do that, you're going to click on create. And now that creates an alternation between the tasks and the projects. Okay, so I'm going to go over to all tasks, and here you can see we get design new website, implement new software, etc. So we have this one that I created, start Python by introducing template of front end header file. So obviously this task is assigned over here, but if we go over to the project section, we can see over here that under the front end project, we're going to see that there's a task. So if I open up the task section, you can see start Python by introducing templates of front end. So it's all compiled up right there. And you can also go over to the results and see what happens. So reduce product return, etc. You can change that accordingly for yourself as well by coming over to OKR or risks. So, changing your OKR or risk will need to be done into your risk and OKR table. So what we're going to do is we're going to come over to our risks. Okay. And in our risks overview, what you can do is you can get a basic, understanding and analytical sense of how your overview works. So over here, we have a view of a basic list table. Now over here, we have risks like product quality issues. We have team member leaving in backend, database for budget overrun, and PHP for product launching delayed. Okay, so again, these are different widgets that you're going to want to keep an idea of. These are different widgets that you're going to want to keep intact when you're working with a software like this. Now, moving on, you can also use it accordingly to the responses you get on your overview. So let's say if I want to switch my project, let's say I'm going to go on front end only. If you go on front end only, you can see the front end only risks over here. So you get the risks, you get the description for the tasks, you have the product quality issue description, statuses, and how its risk acts according to, the actual project issue. Then moving on, you can also go over to OKRs. Okay. Now in the OKR section, you have different things like updating privacy policies. You can launch new products, improve website UX. So these are different, you could say, accomplishment results that you can get. These are different rates of, overviews that you can get. So you're going to make sure that these are working accordingly to your objectives. So basically, OKR does mean objective and key results. Okay. So these are the objectives, which is updated privacy policy. Okay. And right along with updated privacy policy, you have total number of key results, completed key results, and the actual key results. So in updated privacy policy, we get the key results: reduce product return by 10%. Okay. And it also gives you the quarters for it to use accordingly with the proper percentage completion and a whole lot more. So, just like this, you can add objectives accordingly. You can add all the necessary widgets in this section as well. So, Airtable gives you a proper repertoire of applications and how you're going to interact with each other. Now, moving on, you can also go over to Edit App. Okay. And once you go on Edit App, you can change your actual app's look. Okay. So once you go on Edit App, this changes the whole view. This basically takes you from a product user to a product developer. Okay, and now you're actually developing the app accordingly to the settings you're going to want to follow. So let's say in the interfaces, you're going to want to add a page. Okay, so for that, what you're going to do is you're going to come here, click on Add Page. So you're going to choose either a use case, power it with data, and customize and share. So I'm going to click on Next. We have list, gallery, Kanban, etc. So I'm going to go over to list, gallery. Let's go with Kanban. Kanban is a good view, I'd say. And once we go to Kanban, you're going to click on Next. Once you click on Next, you're going to choose, let's say, projects. Status, you can assign it to anything, and I'm going to click on Finish. And once you do that, you're pretty much set to go. So this creates a new page in the OKR view where it gives you a proper Kanban board according to the settings you have in the projects. You can give it a different title. So let's say I'm going to call this Can board. Okay. Once you do that, you're going to choose the source for information. I'm going to go with projects as the source of information, which, relatively makes sense. You're going to change its appearance along with it as well by changing the visualizations. Obviously, the current visualization is in a Kanban board, but if you want to change that, you can through using the custom views you have like list, gallery, calendar, timeline, grid. Okay. So once you've gotten an idea of that, you can also go into filters. So we have none as filters, and then we have elements we can choose. So none, tabs, and drop down. So choose whatever you think will work best for you, because you're going to want to choose a template that will have the appropriate lookout when you're working with it. Okay. Then we go over to user actions where you can sort each things out, get different searches, get different filters, groups, and add records through proper forms where you can allow users to export data as a CSV, and you can allow users to print things as well accordingly to the different buttons you get, and a whole lot more. So, these are things that you're going to want to keep in mind, and these are the different workflow templates that you're going to want to go through when you are working with softwares like Airtable, different softwares with project management and whatnot. And moving on, you can also go over to forms. So, project management softwares should have forms where you can create a forms for your teammates. You can create a forms accordingly for your project name. So let's say I'm going to click on create a form according to my projects. And over here, we can see that we can edit different fields. You can add fields. So let's say I want to add a group, and I want to add a group for tasks. So you can add tasks in this section. Then you're going to add in project name, description, start date, end date, status, priority, and then the submit button. And you can include more fields that you want as you go on. So assign to, result, risks, all of that can be included in this section. You can also show different Airtable brandings for yourself. You can see who submitted a response, and you can get different submissions options for you. So once this is done, simply click on publish form. And once you click on publish form, click on done. And, that should basically set the things accordingly for you, where it takes you to the proper interface form accordingly. And, it gives you a proper share form with new projects to use. And you can also see who can access this form accordingly. So whoever accesses it accordingly to your workspace, you can submit it realistically. You can also view the data that has been gathered on the form. And you can see the analytics and insights of the different data that have been added. So you can set up columns, fill in the rows, filter groups and sorts, and bring your proper projects to life in different ways. Now, when it comes to Airtable, I'm pretty sure all the things that you're seeing in front of you, it's a lot to take in because there's a lot of things going on. Because I will say that it is a bit untidy with all the features and categories just spilling over everywhere. But trust me, once you get a hang for this, you will never stop using it because the vast amount of features that it gives you work with its capabilities so well. Now, over here at Grid View, you can get different project names and descriptions, and you can basically add more. So let's say if we add more, I'm going to add a task called Python. Now, once you've added a task called Python, you can add in descriptions, start dates, and end dates accordingly for yourself. And you can go ahead and give it different views as well. So let's say I want let's go with the grid view. Okay. And I'm going to click on create new view, and creates a new view with accordingly to the actual details and data you have added. Okay. You're going to choose the stacking field as well. So what do you want it to stack? I'm going to go with the status, click on done. And as we can see, now we have our set Kanban board, and we can use it to move it along left and right. You can also use it to edit the actual descriptive field that we have. And you can start different conversations with different features that are up for match when it comes to Airtable's main work. Okay. Now moving on, you can also change the board so you can go from projects to tasks. And now as you can see, I have a lot more tasks. And in the task section, you can actually see the projects it belonged to. So we have PHP database, front end, back end in this case. You can also change its priority and status accordingly. You can change its start date, end date accordingly. You can also add or remove a description according to the work you want to put in when you have grouped your data accordingly to it as well. So, these are the different simplistic and fun things that you're going to want to add into your workspace when you're working with a software like this. And, generally it just gives you a good idea of different views, different features that are up for mark and up for grabs. Now, moving on, you can also switch it to risks, objectives, key results, quarters, whatever you think will work better for you. You can switch it off to that and start working with it. Now, moving on, another section that is quite popular when it comes to Gym Tracker or your Airtable is you're going to come over to automations. So, the reason automations is so incredible is because automation helps you go ahead and do tasks that you could do yourself, but AI does it for you because you have given it steps to do so. So obviously, imagine a workspace that is totally automated. Imagine a workspace where you're not, each feature that recurringly needs to happen happens by itself in the background. Imagine a workspace like that. It's a dream come true, basically. And Airtable will do the work for you by automating your most common tasks. So sending an email, sending a Slack message, updating a record, sending a weekly digest, and generating a weekly digest in Google Docs. It's all doable in this section. So to start things off, we're going to add a trigger. So let's say the trigger is let's go ahead with when a form or when a record is created. All right. So when a record is created, you can add an advanced logic. So you can either add a conditional logic that goes on an if or else loop. So if this, else that, etc. Or you could add a while loop, which is basically a repeating group. But I'm going to go to advanced logic. I'm going to go to create record. Okay. And the record it's going to create is going to have this description. Select the table. I'm going to go with projects, choose the field. Let's say project name. Let's say I'm going to call this auto test. Okay. Once we write auto test, I'm going to go ahead to, I'm going to go ahead and save that. And you can test this step as well by generating the preview. But yeah, when the record is created in, let's say, tasks, you can choose record as well to test step. But I'm good with that. And then once all of that is done, finally, what you can do is you can generate something with AI accordingly. Obviously, you are going to want to get the upper plan for that. But once you're done with all of this, when a record is created in tasks, it's going to create a record in projects. So once this is done, you're going to click on create this automation. You're going to turn it on. And once you turn it on, let's go over to data and let's see if it actually works. So I'm going to come over to tasks. In tasks, let's go ahead and create a record. Okay. So I'm going to just call it something random. Okay. And once we've added some random text, now we're going to go over to projects and look at that. Auto test is now added in the uncategorized field. So this is what a automation is. An automation works exactly like this by simply going ahead in the background. It watches your triggers, it watches your events and steps, and accordingly to that, it goes through and works accordingly. Okay, this is how easy and simple it is to work with something like this. Now, it helps you out a lot if you go ahead and customize different tracking cards for yourself as well by, messing with the tasks, risks, and other things. So go ahead and add automations to your joy, whatever you think will look good, add it according to that. You can also mess around with the interfaces. Now, the interfaces I've already talked about are the different views that you can get in your Airtable. And the different views that you get in your Airtable work differently with, you could say, different altercations that come in when you're working with a software like this. Now, moving on, if we come to data, you can also get extensions. Now, what are extensions? Extensions are basically applications. Okay, these are integrations that you can add for yourself in your Airtable, and integrations basically just make your life easier. They make life a lot easier by adding in features from other applications into your Airtable straight away, and it just gives you a very fun and integratory workspace type. So if we come here, you can see we have integrations like Nexus, which is a GPT agent to fill out your tables and columns. We have Miro, Typeform, Upload Attachments, Pexels, and a whole lot more. So let's say I'm going to go with Nexus. Okay, I'm going to click on Add Extension, and that adds the Nexus integration into our workspace. Now, what you can do is you can use Nexus, as it said, to go ahead and fill out the blank columns. You're just going to give Nexus a prompt, and it's going to do so. So I'm going to wait for Nexus to load up, and let's save the API key. So over here, you're going to add any API key for yourself. We're going to click on Save API Key. And obviously, the API key you choose needs to be off of Nexus. So you're going to come to the Nexus Central, add it over here. And just like that, you can run in automations and integrations together. Moving on, you also have some quick tools over here where you can manage fields, record different templates, and get date dependencies and insights for your workspace. But yeah, generally, this is how you are going to be using your Airtable for yourself in the easiest and most simplest way, and how you can manage things along. Now, one final thing that I would like to discover is how you're going to invite people to your workspace. So to invite people, what you are going to be doing is you're going to go to Tell a Friend. And once you go to Tell a Friend, what you can do is you can refer someone to this section, or you can come to Share. And once you come to Share, what you're going to do is you can either invite by email, or you can create a link that will bring them straight to your table to join straight away. So, pretty basic and straightforward stuff to have for your space. And, generally, this is how you can help yourself accordingly. Now, one final thing that I would like to talk about is Airtable's pricings. Okay. Now, obviously, the fun part about Airtable is that it gives us a 14-day free trial to actually go through its software, to work out its software, to see how its software actually operates and how things are properly done on its software. But in my case, obviously, I would suggest you to go with the upper plans if you have the money for it, because if you do, trust me, that sets you up very well. So there's 4 different plans. The free plan. Okay, then there's the team plan, which we got 14-day free trial for. It's usually $20. And then we have business plan, which is $45. And then the enterprise scale plan, which is usually for larger enterprises to use. So yeah, you can go through all of this and accordingly use it for yourself. So yeah, pretty much that is how we are going to be using Airtable for ourselves in project management and different types of marketing. Now, if you enjoyed this video, drop down a like and subscribe to the channel. And if you want to see more videos like this in the future, let me know down in the comments below and I'll be making a whole lot more for you. Till then, that is all from me, and I'll be seeing all of you wonderful people in the very next video. Have a great and incredible day, and I'll see all of you next time. Goodbye.